Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me today on Thursday, the 5th of February. Wow, time is flying so very, very quickly. Now we'll be underway in just a couple of minutes, and we're experiencing a little overcast day today here in the Dominican Republic, but it's nice weather. Wow. I'm talking to my friends in Canada, and they're under 3 feet of snow. Talked to some folks in New York, same thing. Unbelievable. Who wants to live there? Well, obviously they do. That's their choice. I keep telling myself, I'm so glad I'm not a tree. Are you a tree? Do you have to stay where you're at? Endure bad conditions, bad governments? I mean, wow. You've got choice. And that's what we're here to talk about today. Lots of choices, lots of things you can do to make your life better. All right, well, 1 minute from now, we're going to be getting started, and we'll have some great information to share with you today. I am still not satisfied with this webinar jam system. Maybe it's because I don't know it well enough, but it just doesn't seem to function properly all the time. Now, the good news is that very soon I'll have a new webinar system through the WGN protocol program that the cell phone people, World Global Network. And so that's looking very promising. I'm about to adapt their unlimited international calling system, 100 countries for free on my cell phone. That's pretty exciting. And so the next thing is the space program, which allows for webinars. So very soon, I'm hoping in March, we'll have that operational, and we won't have to deal with this system that just seems to cause problems all the time. Changes. So let's get started. Thank you for being here with me. It's going to be a great day, and we're going to make it that way. Let's get started on some updates. I'm going to share screen and get that set. Start screen share. Present to everyone. That's you. Now you should be able to see the Financial Hope website. Now, if you can't, go to legacyassurance.net 2015 news on the left-hand toolbar, and you'll open up and you'll see some important news items that I've just posted today, and one from the 31st. And I want to go over these very quickly. I would ask each and every one of you to take just 20 minutes when you can over the weekend, watch the video that's presented below, and when you're done, think about whose side you're on. It really comes down to you've got to choose sides. Then if you're on the side of freedom, please copy and paste this link and send it to everyone you know and let them do the same. It's about time we stand up and be counted. We have to do something positive because the negative that is going on this planet right now is unbelievable. Now, also let them know that we're having the freedom solutions to all the challenges they're facing today. So this is a great way to introduce yourself to people you may have not talked to for a while and get them started on the concept of capitalism through the protocols that we have. But this particular anarcho-capitalism speech is right down to earth. No holds barred. It may offend some people, but too bad. Quite frankly, we've got to choose sides. So that's your job. It's your work and your opportunity for you to be able to participate in these protocols. And you really need to understand where you stand. And this will make it so easy. You're going to love this speech if you're who I think you are. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. Then there's this little 1-minute satire about stimulus. So you can watch that. And then for those of you that really don't understand what's been going wrong, and I normally don't bother to promote this stuff, but again, I think you really need to know. And so it just turned up on the Nassara News blogspot. They have a great overview on common law for all U.S. citizens. Now, whether you live in the United States or not, and you're a corporate U.S. citizen or not, common law should be the law of the land everywhere on this planet, but it's been usurped by Admiralty statutory law that is the law of the sea. How can that happen? Well, if you read this, you're going to understand the difference between a de jure government, which is the lawful constitutional government of any country. And then you're going to be able to see the difference between the de facto government, which is a government that's taken power without authority. And that's what the United States Corporation did, and covered over the Constitution with statutes. And the statute is to be construed in harmony with common law, and when it's not, it's called an abrogation or counter law. And so there's hundreds of thousands of statutes in the Library of Congress that are literally enslaving everybody, and it's getting worse every day. So this first document, the first webinar, the Anarcho-Capitalism, will clearly spell it out, and then you can say, I'm on this side, I want to know this, I want to be and absolutely awesome. We've got, think about this. If you're right now, you have 3 was employee gold. All right, so we know that the more people we hire, the more money we make, and it covers everything. Then we have the ability to use the protocol where, and that prepays for your employees. Then we have the ability to sell your business and get 100% profit and buy it back. That could be done. And then the third thing that we have, which is the newest one that we're introducing, is the ability to go back and submit your entire year's expenses for wages and benefits and taxes for your employees, and get 100% of that back. Now, what business doesn't need to hear that? Every business does. And so we're just not talking to businesses, and we need to be. Okay? And the last thing that I want to share with you is the little webinar that, video, I should say, that Mario sent to me, How Capitalism Died and Where That Leaves Us. And that's it's a pretty good overview. So there's the news updates for your review. Check them out. Now, on the home front, Bright Star Work Center, obviously, we are very, 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 very close to having La Strada LLC up and operational. It should have already been done, but the bad weather stopped poor Scott, the attorney, from really functioning properly. He had no heat in his house. And if you live in New York or Pennsylvania or Ontario or any of those northern provinces and states, it's pretty darn cold and there's a lot of snow. So he had to scrounge around, get himself situated, and he's back to work and working on it. And so the efforts put forward by fellow member Peter, as his U.S. name, but Kuria, his African name, he brought Scott to the table. And it's because of that effort that we now have La Strada on board. So I commend Kuria for the work that he has done, and will do, because he's just getting started. And like I say, that everybody can do this. Kuria has done it, you can do it, and you just got to go out and do the numbers. And you know, some of you might hit it off very first time you're going to find somebody. It might take you 100 people before you find somebody. I've been searching, you know, and I've gone through a half a dozen people that I thought might work for attorneys, and they haven't, but I've got one that is, and I have an appointment with a bank with the attorney on Monday. We had 2 bank appointments on Tuesday. One went okay, the other was a disaster, but we're going back on another tack through another city with the bank that said no, because you know, the person that we talked to really likes the concept, so he put us in touch with a person who said, that's out of my pay grade, you got to go talk to this guy. This guy just crapped all over me, and I couldn't believe, I mean, if he was my employer, I would have fired him. Rude and ignorant. I just couldn't believe it. So anyway, that's the way life is. Well, my motto is win or die trying. And that is the leadership of the Internet Catalog Club and Bright Star's attitude as well. We're all getting kind of long in the tooth, and you never know. We might just die trying, but we're going to get the job done. So health is good. Eddie's doing good. Ben and Richie are doing good. Javier's doing good. Those are the core leaders that I work with on a regular basis. And from me to you, they wish you well, and they want you to come to work with us. Well, there's lots to be done and lots to be earned, And we just got to get to work, because if not, you're going to be the people on the other side of that anarchy awesome speech video. Watch it. I'm telling you, this is the time to draw the line in the sand, and you've got to step over into the freedom side, because it's going so awry so quickly that you may not be able to recover. So make your choice now while there's still plenty of time to get yourself removed and not be a tree, or at least have a backup plan. Okay, enough of the news. All right, now we got to get down to the meat and potatoes. Now, there's been some slight modifications to the how to exchange. So I'm going to start there, and then I'm going to kind of role play a business, and then I'm going to go back and show you the concept of BVK, Zcash, and chips. We're going to spend a little bit of time on retail LHP and the new additional terms, and this will clear everything up. It's all good. I'm telling you, because it's never been done before. You think you've got everything in place, and then you start doing it, and then you say, well, that's not quite the way it's going to work. We need to do this, that, and the other. So there's been some minor modifications, but it's all good. And for those of you that are pioneers with me, yeah, it gets a little frustrating because we do have to, make some modifications and some turns, but you will be handsomely rewarded for your patience and effort and steadfastness, not fatness. Anyway, let's go and look at how to exchange a Regino and soon a La Strada LLC promissory note. That's issued in the United States per the Uniform Commercial Code and as per the United Nations UNCITRAL Convention, making it legal tender in reportedly 88 nations. Now understand, this is money. It's no different than a Federal Reserve note. It's a means of exchange. You can go in and you can exchange it. Well, yeah, okay. So it's not as well accepted as a Federal Reserve note, but it's certainly worth a lot more than a Federal Reserve note. The challenge is education. So you may have to go through a few financial institutions until you find one that will accept it. And then if you can't find anyone that will accept it in your neck of the woods, well, you'll be able to do it in some other neck of the woods. All right, we're just going to get it done. So how do you exchange a Regino LLC promissory note and soon a La Strada to a currency of a more common use in a particular nation? The answer is collect USD bank deposit funds and then exchange those funds for the currency you want to have. So if you're living in Australia, you're living in Norway, you're living in Colombia, you're living here in the Dominican Republic, just get it all done in USD, and then obviously the regular bankster gangster financial institutions will be happy to take 2 or 3 points for making your exchange from USD to whatever currency you want. So how do you collect in USD bank deposit funds? Well, since you're looking to obtain bank deposit funds, you have to involve a bank and use the bank's rules for obtaining USD bank deposit funds. So you have to make it easy for the banker to cooperate with you. Now, irrespective of your credit, most bankers will be happy to loan you the full amount of the Regino LLC promissory note if you lodge the note with the bank and also arrange for an amount of USD bank deposit funds with value greater than the value of the note to be placed on deposit with them to collateralize your loan. Now, the deposit should be sufficient to cover the full amount of the loan as well as the interest to be paid over the period of the loan. So that's as simple as it can be. Yet when I explained that to the banker, he couldn't figure it out. Now, it says, so to make it easy for the banker to cooperate with you, Mr. Banker, here's what I would like to do. Here is a draft promissory note. I want you to review it. I want you to ask me any questions for anything you don't understand. And then if you say, yes, I can take this on deposit, all right, lodged the note with the bank, then we'll arrange for USD bank deposit funds, not a note. It'll be documentary funds. And the documentary funds will be sufficient. So if it's a $10 million promissory note, there'll be at least 20 million, but more likely it'll be negotiated, and it's not your job, it's not my job, it's above our pay grade. Eddie, Ben, Richie, whoever's going to negotiate that will be putting multi-millions on deposit, okay? And that'll collateralize the loan. You'll get your 10 million promissory note in the currency of choice, which in this particular case, we're looking to do USD. All right. Now, as we look at the loan, whatever the terms that they set up, it's going to take some time to pay it off. Well, because there's going to be profits from the deposit, because we're going to go and arrange to have CDs, multiples, to be traded, then it'll be self-liquidating. And that is, the loan would not have to be repaid because the banker could collect from the deposit. All right, so that's all going to be arranged by somebody else, not you. You don't need to go into great detail to explain that. You have the document here. This is how we do it. So how can you obtain USD bank deposit funds to place on deposit with the bank? Well, there are two ways of doing that. The first way is to have the bank accept to become a beneficiary of the note and have the bank negotiate with Regino or Lastrada to obtain a set of documentary funds of much greater value than the note and exchange these with Regino or Lastrada for a certificate of deposit, CD, or safekeeping receipt, SKR, registered to be usable within the brokerage account designated by Regino. So that way it'll get a CUSIP and an ISIN number. It'll be able to be taken into trade. That would allow the professional traders to execute non-depletion, non-risk transactions involving U.S. Treasuries to provide profits to be placed on deposit with the bank. Now, amazingly enough, as we go through this with the bank person, they just couldn't get it. I mean, here it is. Well, yes, you're going to need to read this more than once. You're not going to get it on the first time. It's alien to all of us. And that's why you have to practice reading this material out loud until you can say it as smoothly as an actor or actress learning their lines. Now, once sufficient profits have been placed on deposit through the process by Regino or Lastrada, the bank would most likely be happy to loan you the full amount of value of the note. All right, so when all this takes place, they'll be happy to say, you need 10 million? No problem. We're covered with 250 million. You want another loan? Now, by the way, if you're dealing with a non-USA bank, which I am, they may not wish to do business with a USA entity, in which case Regino could agree to use a surrogate within their jurisdiction, which we have here in the Dominican Republic. Similarly, if a USA bank does not wish to open an account for a Texas corporation, Regino could agree to use a surrogate within their jurisdiction. Now, we're going to have Regino in Texas, and we're going to have Lastrada in Pennsylvania. All right, now we're working in Australia and in New Zealand to do this. Tonio's working in Bali to find an attorney there. We have Norway, Colombia, and we have Kenya. All of these places we've got members actively pursuing, along with what's going on, obviously, here in the Dominican Republic, the United States, and Canada. So we have a host of active members pursuing this, and good news is you can pursue it too. Okay, what if the bank that you want to do business with doesn't want to work with documentary funds that Regino can present? Not a problem. As Ben said to me today, we'd actually prefer this. A second way is for you, as the beneficiary of the note, to request that Regino or Lastrada provide the documentary funds to Texas Holdings, THI, for THI to engage in commerce. Based on the value of the documentary funds, THI could issue its own promissory note to initiate a business transaction that you could bring to the table. So this has been where the confusion has been. Ben has been telling us to go find business to bring to the table. Well, this second way ensures that your promissory notes are going to be paid whether you get a bank or not. And this is critical. I'm telling you, folks, we need to be actively pursuing this, because if we keep feeding the beast, go watch that video that I'm talking to you about in the news section, we've got to stop. So we can literally do all this without the bank's involvement. But again, we're trying to play nice, we're trying to play with our neighbors, and we're trying to bring them into a much better system, which is honorable and reputable. All right? So that could be the case. Using profits from that business transaction, THI could deposit the USC bank deposit funds in your bank so that your bank could provide the full amount of the note you have a loan to you with payback through the THI deposit. So that's the second way that it can be done. Now, why not just have THI pay you and you transfer the note to THI? Well, that could be arranged, but it's to your advantage to involve the bank if you can. The reason is that once you've set up the transaction with THI and you have deposited your note with your bank, you would then be in a position to negotiate with others similar to the way THI will do so, and thus accelerating your benefiting from the note. So there's more profit in it for you, plus you could start to be a surrogate for others. You've got the contacts. Now, for the purpose of this document is not to educate you on how to function as THI, but to provide you the information on how you might proceed with Rahino, Lastrada, and with THI. So what kind of business transactions would THI be interested in? Well, there's 8 generic topics described in Taking Care of Mortgages. What an awesome program. Everybody out there that has a mortgage is a candidate for taking care of mortgages. And there's been some changes, so I'm going to share one of them with you and show you. I don't want to go through all 8 of them. Don't Let It Happen Again is all about the power industry, oil and gas, fracking, and all the stuff that's gone wrong with the dramatically lowered cost of a barrel of oil. It's putting them all out of business, so we can salvage each and every one of them. The power of student loans. How many people out there that have student loans that are upside down that are never going to be able to pay them off? Well, now we've got the way to do it. Are you selling? Well, we now have a new one we're going to discuss today. Are you buying? Cafe Let World Promotion of Coffee. Casa di Bambino World Promotion of Education. The USPIS World Employment Promotion. And so when I went to the bank on Tuesday, I was telling Ben about it, and he said, well, it's probably a good thing that he did what he did. And I said, why is that? I really want to get involved to get the bank on board. He says, well, there's another way to do it. And I said, what would that be? He said, well, go to Human Resources and say, if I could show you a way where you could get 100% of the value of what you paid out in wages, benefits, and taxes to all of your employees, 100%, would you be interested in finding out how to do that? Now, if I had said it to the guy I was talking to, he said, oh, absolutely not. We wouldn't want to do that. We wouldn't want to get 100% back. Fire the bum. I mean, people like that don't deserve to be a party to any business. You wouldn't even want to see how to do it. All right. So again, keep going. Well, the interesting thing is we have an appointment on Monday at noon with a person from the same bank, but in a different city. So you see, you just are relentless. You never give up. You go and get the job done. So in this particular case, you go to the Human Resources. And then he said to me, well, Gary, it's going to be real simple. If they say yes, we're going to give them a promissory note for twice the value of what their wages, benefits, and taxes were last year. And they're a bank. They can be able to cash it themselves. Isn't that amazing? So you've just circumvented the negative person. I said, awesome. Isn't that amazing? We've got brilliant leadership, I'm telling you. Wow. Okay, so you can propose other types of business that might be very profitable to THI as well. Now, one of the challenges that we've had with our existing group of workers is that we originally were working towards buying a property, getting our admin fee, and then having THI buy it, and then we would buy it back. And then it started to unravel a little bit, and we lost sight of what we were trying to do, and Ben came up and said, well, look, that's not going to make me any money if you guys are buying it. I got to buy it, and I got to sell it, or I got to up the production, or I got to sell the production, whatever the situation is. And it kind of threw us for a curve this past week. Well, he said, you don't need to do that. You don't have to have THI buy it at all. What do you want them in the way for? If you're going to bring us that business and they want to sell the business and we'll buy it because it's profitable, great. Bring it to us. That's what this is all about. All right? But if you want to buy it, just go buy it. Duh. Okay, I guess I could do that. So that's one of the things that will clear up everything we've been talking about. Now, incidentally, the business transactions you bring to THI will require someone to buy wholesale LHP or to pay for an LHP retail administrative fee. So yes, there is administrative costs. The wholesale LHP is $2,000. They get their $6,000 in Zcash and then $6,000 in chips, so they get $12,000. It's not an investment. You're making a retail transaction. You're buying one of the 5 different things that they have for sale: obsolete videotapes, VHS videotapes, obsolete computer programs, sand, oil, and something else. It doesn't really matter. The fact is that it's a commercial transaction. And you say, well, who would want to buy VHS tapes? I don't even have a player. You're buying them to be having them sold, and it's a transaction that keeps us in commerce. Get that through your brain. It's not finance. We're not in the finance business ever. All right? We as a private club only deal in commerce. And so that keeps us at arm's length from every government on the planet, because we can deal in commerce anywhere on the planet. And that's what the UNCITRAL Convention is all about, 88 countries. So study that stuff. Know what you're talking about, because the people you're going to tell this to, they won't believe it. And you got to be able to say, here it is, go read it yourself. And that's where we need to be starting to pushing the envelope and saying, you need to follow the law. You guys write these laws, you need to follow them for a change. Okay? So these are the 8 different things that you can work on to create business that THI would accept, along with Employee Gold. And Employee Gold is absolutely awesome. Go back and review the webinars that we've talked about Employee Gold. Now, in either case, you can receive income as the sponsor of the business. Now, one of the things that was a bit challenging is in the Employee Gold, and I just had this conversation right before the webinar with Ben. He was saying, what's wrong with you, Gary? And I said, what do you mean? He said, you're just not getting it. In the Employee Gold, one of the very first things is you have to act as a purchasing agent. And I said, yeah, we had that conversation months ago. And I said, well, I don't really have anything that I have to sell you. And he said, that's not the point. And so I stuck on this conversation that if he came here to the Dominican Republic and he needed a hotel, then I would be his purchasing agent to find that, and he would pay me a little fee to go find it. If he needed a rental car, if he needed groceries, if he needed chauffeuring around, I could be his purchasing agent to get all that stuff arranged for him. And that's where I left it. He said, you dumb cluck. He said, you're missing one of the biggest opportunities on planet Earth. We just had a member from Pakistan that's just brokered a deal for 200 metric tons of sugar to be sold to Asia from Brazil. And so there's be a purchasing agent, and this particular individual is from Pakistan. And so there'll be a promissory note issued for the full cost of the sugar, all right, which is millions. And then on top of that, there'll be 25% added to the promissory note as the fee for service for the purchasing agent, what happens to be this doctor in Pakistan. So that's $25 million for that sugar deal at 25%. Now, how many of you know somebody that's out there that's got something to sell? Broker the deal. Get 25% for brokering the deal. Huge. We've missed it. Get yourself involved in Employee Gold and become a purchasing agent and get 25% for bringing deals to the club. Plus, we've got all these other things that we just reviewed, these 8 different things we can do, but certainly Employee Gold is a gold mine for the employer and for you as the recipient of Employee Gold. Now, I have 2 Employee Gold applications that have been accepted, one for Brightstar and one for My Fuel Club. And the My Fuel Club one is actually up on the site in Employee Gold. So go take a look at it. It's exciting. Wow, so much wealth to be earned. All right, so now we go and talk to a business. Well, what are we going to talk to them about? Well, how many businesses buy stuff? Probably all of them. So we've got, are you selling and are you buying? And they're pretty much the same, but they've been slightly modified. So let's take a look at the latest one, are you buying? For most businesses, to be able to offset costs of purchasing would represent a major benefit. Can you imagine the auto industry, the airline industry, the bus industry, the boat manufacturing business, the boat building business? If they could offset the purchasing of all their raw materials to finish the raw product into a finished product, you don't think they would be interested in hearing this, seeing this? Come on, folks, give your head a shake. Wake up. Howe Services Inc., a Texas USA firm that has been managing funds for USA and for international entities for almost 15 years. Howe's has arranged for Texas Holdings Inc., THI, to provide 100% rebates for all purchasing that a business has made over the previous 12-month period, if the business is approved by House. Now, a business may submit requests for rebates of purchasing related expenses to any member of the Internet Catalog Club. That happens to be you. Now, they're not members yet, but we should make them members. But in the meantime, they could submit the request to you. The member would submit the request through Brightstar Work Center. If the request submitted is approved, THI may provide a business a Regino or Lestrada LLC promissory note valued at twice, that's 200% of the value of the rebates. Well, guess what? They get 100%, and then THI gets the other 100%. Pretty darn exciting way to make money, don't you think? Everybody wins. And what's this cost? $5,000. Well, I'd suggest $5,175 and teach them how to get the employee goal working. And this leads you to the next product that you can offer. Now, requests for less than $100,000 must be added together with requests from others in order to be processed in a block, with one party being responsible for contracting and making the payments to those included in the block of requests. So, you know, if you're going to go to a shoe shine business and they're buying shoe polish, I don't think they do 100,000. So you get a whole pile of shoe shine stores together and shoe repairs and whatever. You know, just broker it, put it together. Now, a draft note example may be reviewed in Regino LLC promissory note. Lestrada will probably be virtually identical, just different names, called Lestrada. Now, to receive a note, a business must contract with THI to exchange a note received for USD bank deposit funds using protocols found in How to Exchange a Regino promissory note for Other Currencies. So it's their responsibility to take the promissory note and do that so that they get their 100 and Texas Holdings gets their 100 million. So for $5,000, they get 100% rebate. What a super deal. Yes, they've got to do some work. That keeps it in commerce. It's not a financial transaction. Now, as stipulated in the business contract, a business must return a change or overpayment of the rebate, 50% of all funds received through a note, to Texas Holdings Inc. Return to Texas Holdings Inc. may be distributed as per protocols in this THI business compensation plan, which says you, the member, brought it to the table. Therefore, out of that, if it's a $100 million deal, you get 90% of that 100 million to pay off your promissory note, and the cash is there to do it. Do you see? We don't need banks to do this. We just need people to understand how to participate in the protocols and move these promissory notes into usage. Yes, somebody's going to put it into a maybe, but the two biggest promissory notes, I'm told, were never deposited in banks, being traded out there in the hotel story. Remember writing a check, and I read a check as well. Okay, give me the $1,000 you owe me. He back of the check. Mary says, "Thank you for paying me what you owed me." Then she takes it over to the store, sign check. Yeah, I know you, Mary. They put it on deposit and they stick it in their bank, and that went through 3 people. All right, it's been going on for centuries. With bigger figures, we don't understand it. We're afraid of it. But this is our chance to shine. It's our chance to bring back commerce through capitalism, bring back a middle class, and uplift anybody who is in a low class to first class. We're going to create millionaires this year. You folks on this call right now, as I look through, every one of you has some form of digital currency that's making you wealthy. Get your shovel. Shovel costs $5,000. What a small price to pay in the scheme of things to get yourself set up, never to have to pay out of your pocket ever. However, a business may promote other business with Texas Holdings Inc., through which the payment for the fee may be earned or recovered, or a business may recover the cost of the fee by including it in the amount to be rebated. So I suggested to all the people I'm working with that have already sent in their $5,000, and there's a half a dozen folks that have done that, that they just go ahead and put in $100,000 for a promissory note to buy 20 more admin fees. Now they're in the admin fee business. They can go ahead and do as many of these as they need to do. But they could also make arrangements for somebody else, pay it forward and say, look, you come and work with me. You cut me in on your project, and I'll pay the $5,000 up front. You may have somebody that wants to sell their property but doesn't have the $5,000 to do it. Well, you say, I'll put up the $5,000 and I want whatever percentage you want. It's called negotiation. The challenge for all of us, myself included, is that we've never really begun to negotiate anything in our term of involvement with the Internet Catalog Club. Yes, I used to negotiate when I was in the music business. I had people come in and bargaining and wanting a better price on things, and I would negotiate that way. But this is big stuff. I mean, we're just afraid of it. Well, don't be. Embrace it. Go out and do it. Put the deals together. I remember being at the Paris Fall Fair, and there was a company that sold adjustable beds and vibrating heated chairs and heating pads and all kinds of relaxation equipment. And I was across the aisle with all my musical instruments, pianos, organs, guitars, drums, and all that kind of stuff. And it was an 18-day fair. And during that 18-day fair, the owner of that company and me, the owner of my company, we would talk with each other when things were a little quiet. And he'd say, I always wanted a piano. And he'd say, I just wish I could afford one. And I said, well, what's one of these chairs worth? He said, well, $600. All right. Well, my piano is $1,200. So what else can we do here? Let's see. What's one of those pads worth? And what's one of the beds worth? Well, the beds are worth $1,800. Oh, okay. So now we started to, over that period of 18 days, we ended up, he got what he wanted, a piano, a guitar, a stereo system, because I sold stereos. And I got two king-size single beds that pulled together to make a king-size bed. I got a reclining chair, and I got one of the heating chair pads. And we just swapped. But that took 18 days of negotiation. This doesn't happen instantly. This is not go to your store and here's my promissory note, take it. Eventually, it may happen that way. But just know in your heart of hearts, what you don't know just yet, is that promissory note is real by law in 88 countries. Now, if you want to get into a currency that people can accept, well, that's your choice, but you can take it to the bank yourself. You can have an attorney help you. All of those things are available for you to do. You just got to raise your hand and say, Gary, I'm in, I want to do this, and I will work with you and coach you and make calls with you and do whatever we can, because the more people that are making people aware, just look at how much stuff is out there on Bitcoin. Bitcoin is absolutely insane. Why would anybody want Bitcoin? The highest it's been is $1,100. In November, it was $600, and I'm told it's less than $300 right now. Talk about volatility of a fiat currency. How can you ever plan your future when you don't even know what your currency is going to be worth? You might as well go to Argentina and live there because they haven't even got toilet paper on the shelves. I mean, that's the kind of insanity that Bitcoin's bringing to the table. But great, good for them, because they're exposing people about Bitcoin. We just show them Zcash. We are the only asset-backed digital currency on the planet, and we're the only currency on the planet anywhere that doubles its value just by using it. Because you get chips in the equal value of whatever you expended in Zcash. If you can't get excited about that, I think I'm going to have a heart attack. Wow, this is so exciting. I mean, it just blows me away. We got to get out there and tell people about this great stuff. I've got 5 brand new members coming on board because I've shown them the opportunity here, and they just, there's nothing better. We've been searching, we've been looking. Nothing better, Gary. We want on board. I just had another man I talked to before the webinar, and he's got BVK, or his friends got BVK, and they were told that we now have the solution, and so he was put in touch with me. Oh, wow, you're a genius, man. No, I'm not the genius. I'm just the messenger. You people are messengers. Well, some of you are. The rest of you are sitting there sucking your thumb, wondering what to do. Well, let's get to work. Let's do it together. All right, so let's go and take a look at, we finished that one, yep. BVK, Zcash, and chips. BVK, Zcash, chips, promissory notes. Members of the Internet Catalog Club that have BVK have currency of Bougainville that is gold-backed. Although BVK is not generally accepted in the world financial and business communities, it's arguable that BVK is lawful currency in the USA because it qualifies as such per the USA Constitution. It is also arguable that the BVK is lawful currency in the USA because it qualifies as virtual currency. Now, there's an individual, I don't know their name, and if I do, I forgot it, that had done a transaction with BVK, and the state came after him, and he's in serious jeopardy of going to jail because he made a transaction in BVK. And the state said, it's not money, it's not real. Well, guess what? It is money and it is real. And that court case is going to get kicked out. Why? Because you can turn BVK into USD. Yes, it takes work, but guess what? It takes work to convert USD into renminbi. It takes work to convert USD into rubles. It takes work. Why? Because they're communist nations. But I've already told you the story about how Tricky Dick Nixon used Pepsi-Cola in both those countries to open up trade with the United States. It's no different here, folks. It's going to happen. Do you want to make it happen with me, or do you want to wait until it's all done and then just join? You're going to miss out on a fortune. Go read The Next Wave of the Future. Now, although some members of the Internet Catalog Club are known to have successfully used BVK to negotiate business, most have not. Well, that's probably most of the people here on the call. I did buy gold. The club bought the gold from me with BVK, and I was super happy with that, and I got a lot of Zcash out of that deal. I'm a super happy camper. We've got people in South Africa that have bought a farm and bought a home with BVK. I bought computers with BVK. Fetus Bank was bought with BVK. Gas field in Mexico was bought BVK. A couple of houses in the United States, the Javier Reina bought with BVK. So yeah, some people have been successful. Most have not. That's the way it is, okay? Now, the Internet Catalog Club instituted the use of Zcash as a product that could be bought and sold in 1996 and introduced chips as savings points, similar to air miles or grocery store points, in 1999. So we have the oldest digital currencies on the planet, although they weren't considered currencies back then. Zcash was considered a token not unlike going to the fall fair and you want to go on the carnival rides, and so you had to go and buy tokens or tickets. All right, that allowed you to go on the rides, which again kept it in the private. Okay, that carnival was a private enterprise. They didn't let you pay directly your US Federal Reserve notes to get on the ride. You had to buy the tickets first, and there was a reason to do that. You go figure it out. Anyway, many members of the Internet Catalog Club have engaged business related to Zcash and chips over the years. Some have profited enormously thereby, and well, certainly I know I sure have. I got involved in the MOU protocol last year, and I got 9 times value on the 2 MOUs. I mean, I'm a gazillionaire with Zcash and chips, and some of you are as well. But many members have never learned how to reap the benefits from Zcash and chips. However, litigation and USA federal court engaged in by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission has left little doubt that digital crypto virtual currency is lawful tender in the USA. This view has been further supported by state legislative changes and by general use of different forms. Examples in the media over the last years have been Bitcoin, Starbucks stars, Amazon coins of stateless currency, and now by the IRS advisory. And all that stuff is available to be seen on the website. The Internet Catalog Club has never contested classification of Zcash and chips by governmental entities or courts, but has closely followed such activities, adjusting to the use of Zcash and chips accordingly. We're not going to make waves. We just want to stay out of their court systems because it's a waste of time. And again, watch the video I'm suggesting you spend the 20 minutes on over the weekend. You'll see why. And so the example, although the litigation by the U.S. Securities and Exchange involving Zcash and chips was settled by a consent decree and final judgment that did not set a precedent regarding these, the club had earlier developed the use of Zcash so that the classification of Zcash as a security would not have a negative effect on club-related business. So we're clean and pristine. Now, because of the new rulings, it is classed as Zcash and chips. That's why we brought back LHP, retail and wholesale, because Zcash and chips are legal tender. Before, they were tokens and bonus points. Now, thus recognizing that Zcash and chips seem to fall under definitions of currency now in effect in the USA, the use of which definitions seem to be expanding the worldwide acceptance, the Internet Catalog Club recommends that all members consider Zcash and chips now to be currency and abide by all rules, regulations, and laws related thereto. So if you are a taxpayer and you have Zcash and chips and you decide not to claim that, then be careful. All right? It's considered currency, and the IRS wants their pound of flesh. Oh, no, I don't want this currency now. Now I'm going to be paying taxes on it. I know that's the mindset of some of you because you've already called me and told me that. Oh, I don't want this stuff. I got millions. I'm going to pay millions in taxes. Well, if they're saying it's real, when are you going to realize it's real? However, Zcash and chips are registered in members' accounts within the Internet Catalog Club, and thus any user or party accepting Zcash or chips must be a member of the club business social network. So remember, this is private. We only do exchanges with Zcash and chips member to member. Now, this necessary requirement places a restriction on the use of Zcash and chips, as they're not available to the general public and specifically are not items that may be deposited with a bank or otherwise readily used within the world financial community. Specifically, we don't want that to happen readily because then we are a party to their system. Go watch the video. Now, that opened an opportunity for members to benefit by servicing needs of other members as per the protocols, become a partner with House Services. So Korea went out there and says, geez, I want to do that. He lined up several. He said, I want to do 10 or 12 of these things. I said, I think we're going to be limiting it to probably, one or two. So he's already got one on the way with these, which he's a partner with. And the reason he's a partner is because he just didn't have the funds to do it all. So Gary and Eddie stepped up and said, let's join forces. And we did. And I'm hoping that by the time we get everything set, he can go do his own deal in Kenya. All right. But if he wants to partner with us, hey, I'm happy to partner with anybody. It just, many hands make light work. Now, that requires the establishment of new corporations within jurisdictions of attorneys that choose to participate in the proposed business. Now, there's a bit of a challenge in Australia. It seems like no attorney down there does anything within the financial sector. They have estate agents, and these estate agents do all the real estate transactions. So settlement agents, these settlement agents, we're now going to gain information from them as to how they can participate, and we may have to modify the protocol with House Services and add them. I just don't know. But again, we're breaking new ground, so we find out. Now, as a result, members may now exchange BVK, Zcash, and/or chips from promissory notes that are lawful legal tender in nations that are signatories to the United Nations UNCITRAL Convention, and in the USA, also legal tender in 49 states as per the USA States Uniform Commercial Code. Now remember, Louisiana is governed under French law, not English law. Okay, so that's why it says 49 states, but still it can happen in Louisiana. Now, it must be underscored that being lawful and legal does not mean that the notes must be accepted. That is still a matter of negotiation between parties, or in the case of existing contracts, acceptance governed by contractual terms by law. So if you are going to get a promissory note and you want to buy a new airplane, $10 million helicopter, then you're going to negotiate to be able to use that and show them the vision and the value of using the promissory note, bringing it back, getting Zcash and chips, doubling your money, and then using one of our Regino or La Strada exchange facilities to put to work. Now, if it's a contract that's already in place, like an existing mortgage or a car loan or a truck loan or something that you've already been paying on or that you're in foreclosure on, wow, you're in a powerful position. You get that promissory note, you phone up the company and say, look, boys and girls, I need to know exactly how much it's going to be to pay this off with all the interest and penalties. Give me a figure. Write the promissory note for that. Take it to them. If they won't accept it, bring your attorney. They'll be accepting it. By law, they have to. But we don't want to force anybody, okay? We want to negotiate and work with them, show them the value. Furthermore, the exchange requires payment in USD bank deposit funds, that $5,000 administrative fee. Well, get 5 people together and put in $1,000 and then do one deal to start, and then everybody gets their administrative fees to do their own deals. I don't care how you do it. You get out there and promote the programs. You sell 5 of the are you selling or are you buying protocols for $5,000? You make $1,000 off each one. Your fees are covered. Therefore, it's highly recommended that before making an exchange of BVK, Zcash, and/or chips for promissory notes, that the members fully understand how to use the notes and have specific plans as how they intend to benefit from their use. Now, this has been where we've been jockeying back and forth, not fully understanding how we intend to benefit from their use and how to use these notes. But I think we're pretty clear now, and I think we're set to go for those people that are already involved, and those of you that are going to come join us, well, you're going to benefit from the challenges we've had for the last month. Now, an important point to underscore that promissory notes issued as per the aforementioned protocols are not directly provided by the issuer in exchange for BVK, Zcash, and/or chips, as might be considered a currency exchange transaction, and thus falling under laws regulating such. So understand, what we do is we use LHP, low cost, high profit product. We have to keep it in the commercial sector. Rather, a member wishing to obtain a promissory note must purchase real-world products such as LHP retail items and resell them to the issuer of the note, and the note being provided as payment for the product. These transactions, being commercial in nature, are governed by national constitutions, by international trade treaties, and by governmental agencies that oversee commercial trade. So we're under a different set of regulations, and that keeps us out of the alphabet agencies. In some instances, these may provide even more restrictions than financial or currency exchange rules, regulations, and laws, but they are consistent, rarely modified, and their history and application is already well established in court precedents. So we're playing in a playing field that isn't changing very often, because commerce, quite frankly, has been put on the back burner. That's why we don't see capitalism around anymore. Watch that video that Mario sent, and you'll understand that we're really into creditism, not capitalism. In summary, BVK, Zcash, and/or chips may be exchanged for promissory notes issued by entities as per protocols indicated herein, and by making a purchase of items, reselling these, and accepting the notes as payment. But further use of the notes in any manner is a matter of contracts and/or negotiations with other parties, and the issuer of the notes have no obligation whatsoever related to the future use of the notes other than being ready, willing, and able to comply with the terms and conditions of the notes. All right, so it's very important to understand that Regino, Lastrada, they create the notes. That's it. That's where we now come over to the retail LHP, and we look up the link here. Now, they've added this special terms and conditions, which we'll read in a moment, but I just want to go over the top of the LHP retail. And this is if you've got BVK. This is if you've got Zcash or chips. This is the section that you would look through and say, Gary, I want to use BVK. Great. Skype me, say I'm in and ready to go. So the number of values in this section represent the quantity of Zcash chips or amount of BVK required depending upon the items required. An administrative fee of 500 tickets USD is required to be included with all orders for retail's LHP and must be included in the market basket prior to checkout. Now, this is the important part. Prior to making an acquisition through the site, a member must pre-negotiate the exchange with the selected issuer of the promissory notes, whether it's Lastrada or Regino. We need to have a plan, and that's what I've been doing with these members. And you saw my plan, and I've fleshed it out even more. And I've added in some extra options, but we don't have time to cover them today. We'll look at that next week. So then we now look at the LLC special terms and conditions. And this is the clarification of all of what we need to do. And you can see it's in red, bold. We're shouting at you here, folks. You have a moral obligation, not a legal one, a moral one. So look at the difference. Go back and watch that video. I'm telling you, it's 20 minutes long. Watch that. Choose which side you're on. Take the higher moral ground. A member that acquires LHP retail through this location acknowledges, agrees, and accepts that the LHP acquired will automatically be resold to Regino LLC with payment of equal value being made by Regino to the member with a Regino LLC promissory note. So you're going to get the promissory note. Now, a primary purpose of these terms and conditions is to assure that others that are not members that may receive a Regino LLC promissory notes as payment may rely on members presenting the notes to aid in assuring collection in a currency as others may require. So the bank says, all right, your mortgage is $195,000, taxes brings it up to penalties and interest brings it up to $200,000. You write the promissory note, you take it over to them and say it's paid in full. They say, wait a second, I was expecting Federal Reserve notes. Well, this is a better note because it's backed by digital currency, which is backed by $11 billion in HSBC Mexico under FIDES, and it's also backed by gold and oil. Well, so what do you do with it? Your obligation, all right, is to show them how to do this. And so it's not just we've thrown it at them and running and hiding. It's here's what we need to do. Let's work together and show you how you make double the value by following the protocols. And there's two ways to do it. We've already covered them at the beginning of the webinar. So by accepting the Regino LLC promissory notes as payment for LHP or for other products or services, a member, number one, acknowledges that the member has read, understands, and agrees with and accepts all the information found in publications in the digital currency site. So you go and look it all up and read it all and make sure you understand that digital currency is legal, lawful tender. All right? Number two, acknowledges and accepts that Regino LLC has no obligation related to the member or to any party to which the member may present Regino LLC promissory notes other than as issuer to comply with the terms and conditions of the notes. It's that simple. Here's the note. Read it. Follow it. The samples are there. Once you've got the real thing, obviously you'll know exactly what that particular note has if it's been modified. Number three, that you commit that when presenting the Regino LLC note to engage in transactions with other parties, the member will present to the other parties a copy of the document, How to Exchange a Regino Promissory Note for Other Currencies, published in How to Exchange. And we already read that at the beginning of the webinar. Number four, you're going to commit that irrespective of other steps that the member or other parties may take to use or collect on Regino LLC promissory notes, the member will use best efforts to seek out and present business to Texas Holdings, Inc. as indicated in the document How to Exchange Regino promissory notes for other currencies, so as to assure that Regino LLC promissory notes obtained through the site by the other member may be exchanged by the member or lawful beneficiaries for other currencies through business profits, as described in Texas Holdings Inc. Business Compensation Plan. So this is the opportunity for you to assure and morally fulfill the ability to exchange these promissory notes. Bring business to us, either through being a purchasing agent with the employee gold, or using those 8 different protocols, and bring that business. Because remember, whatever the rebate is, 100% of their wages, of whatever they purchased, of whatever they're selling, they're going to get 200%, and that 100% profit for THI is going to give you 90% to make sure that that promissory note gets paid. That's the way we need to be doing this business. Super darn exciting. So, review the THI Business Compensation Plan. And number 5, by accepting the terms and conditions at checkout, a member will also be accepting the terms and conditions as stipulated herein, which we previously reviewed. Well, there is a mouthful. Now, I would suggest you watch this more than once. I would suggest that you buddy up with somebody and read it out loud, get your list of questions together, and send them to me so we can get into dialogue and get your questions answered. And let's get this job done. This is the year of Jubilee. I can guarantee you that Gary and Eddie will be super wealthy in any currency they want this year because of Peter's efforts, Korea's efforts, the same person, bringing that attorney to us who saw the light, who said, I'm in, who said, I want to do this, and I want to be putting my signature on Lestrada promissory notes, and I want to bring these to the bank and make it happen. He's going to be a multi-gazillionaire because he gets 20% for his signature. He didn't have to bring $250 million to the table like we did and like all the other partners did. It's all here for us. We're doing it. Now, with you, with me, without you, and without me, the club's doing it. I mean, Ben's not going to stop. Richie's not going to stop. Eddie's not going to stop. And I certainly tell you, Javier Reina's not going to stop. And anybody else who's with position of leadership that's behind the scenes that I don't know about, they are not stopping. They're going to get it done, and they're going to be wealthy beyond their wildest dreams. All you have to do is decide is, do I want to do it? And if you do, come join us. We'll show you how. And that will strengthen us all, just like Bitcoin's doing with all their advertising out there. People are saying, well, yeah, I want Bitcoin. What for? Well, because it's popular. That's a dumb way to want it. Look at the comparisons. They're all on the website, legacyassurance.net. Look at the BVK to Bitcoin comparison and the Zcash to Bitcoin comparison. There is no comparison. It's a worthless digital currency, as are all the other digital currencies out there. We have the only usable, viable digital currency that doubles in value, and that's asset-backed. Thank you for being with me today. Look forward to your inquiries, questions, and participation. God bless you all. See you again soon.